Hello there, commanders, and welcome to another episode of SUNTZU Podcast. Today I have with me Astolfo,
Hello, everyone.
Folksy,
Hello.
and for the first time, but hopefully not the last, Kiwi.
Hello, and you're all very welcome.
Yes. Speaking of improving the quality of guests, right?
I mean, you finally saved up enough money to be able to afford a couple of minutes of my time, so I thought I'd give it a go.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
professional, Mistru.
All that money from both of my Twitch subscribers have finally paid off.
You got two? Jeez,
Yeah,
you
dude. I'm so
You're a
rich.
rich boy.
All that Twitch money. I already made a living. Okay. So what we are going to talk about in this podcast is how to make Arena come back to the West and what we as the community can do that. So let's first focus on CA and their side of things because they are the ultimate decision maker. So what CA will be looking at or for to make the decision about bringing Arena back, and what can we, the community, do to let them know that we want Arena back. So the first and kind of the most obvious thing is that they will just be looking at number of people from the West playing Arena on Chinese servers. So we, as a community, and all of you guys, all we need to do is kind of play Arena. But what else can we do? Also, on that point, let me just briefly add, there's not really discussion there happening, so sorry guys. This is just so straightforward. But anyway, on our Discord, since from when Arena will start, so from 23rd of September forward, we'll be doing reminders using a Discord bot, where you can add yourself a role called Primetime or Weekend Primetime. We'll figure out the naming later. But you essentially add that role to yourself on our Discord, on the SUNTZU Discord, link in the description. And then the bot will ping you every day or just on the weekends, depending on your selection, when there is prime time to play for Western players, because there is a problem for us from the West, especially for people from America, as Astolfo can relate. We cannot really play with the Chinese players because of the huge time difference. Astolfo, what has been your experience with that so far?
Well, during the tests, I had to be up at I think the hours were between 2 a.m. and 7 a.m. So I was only able to do it on the weekends. And even then, it was reduced time because obviously, Americans tend to work Monday through Friday. And even if you don't, you're probably not going to stay up until 2 a.m. to play, 3 hours or whatever.
Yeah, and you're from the West Coast, right?
I am from the West Coast.
Yeah, so for the East Coast, it's 3 hours, I guess, better, right? Because if you started at 2 a.m., then the East Coast, would start at 5 a.m., but it's still extremely, extremely early. For Europe, it was a little bit better because it was, I think it's starting at 11 a.m., and then obviously up to 4 p.m., I think it was, 4 or 3 p.m., depending on the test. So it wasn't that bad for Europe, but it obviously isn't ideal either because people are in school, at work, etc., etc. So yeah, definitely not ideal, but this test is supposed to be 24/7. So as also with my experience as a tournament organizer or just event organizer, whenever I am organizing an event that is for both Europe and America, really the only option is European evening plus American morning, because the other alternative is American evening, and then for European it's in the middle of the night. So yeah, I think the best it will be just to stick to the European prime time, especially since we've observed that the European Total War Arena player base is much bigger than the North American one, or just American in general, both continents. So yeah, it just makes sense because Europe has a bigger player base, plus just time zones are better suited for Europe. So we'll be doing those pings in European prime time, and then Americans can join us in their early morning. So if you were to go by European prime time, which starts 5 p.m. Or 6 p.m. depending on who you ask for the definition, what time it will be in America? -6 to 9 hours depending on the coast. So yeah, either 9 a.m. or 12 p.m. Not that bad, right? I mean, if you're working or at school.
I mean, it depends, right? On the weekends, it's doable. During the week, like even if you have a part-time job, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, I mean, if the Americans were to play in their prime time, so their 6 p.m. ish, then that in China would be, so there's 6 to 9 hours of difference between America and Europe, or the CST, and then from CST we have 6 hours of difference to China, 7. Well, anyway, so it's between 12 to 15 hours of difference. So your prime time is early China morning. I'm calculating that correctly.
I mean, it sounds pretty close. When I
Yeah.
was in Thailand, I think that was about the difference.
Just let me do the math. So, yeah. Oh no, that not that early morning. So it would be around noon for Chinese. So, I mean, that's also not their prime time, obviously, but it's not that bad. So Americans who want to play in the prime time, they will just mostly play with Chinese because Europeans at that point are just mostly asleep. So if we as a Western community want to play together during one prime time, it is the European prime time, which Americans can more or less join. But for those Americans that cannot, your prime time, the American prime time, is also good enough because you'll be paired up with Chinese players. So yeah, we can set up both American and European prime time reminders. And you can just assign yourself a role on our Discord for very convenient reminders like, hey, now is the best time for you to play the low arena because the estimated queue times will be the lowest. Right? Because that can also be an issue with 24/7 global population when we are in the neglected regions, let's call them that. But enough of the time zone math. I'm sure it's not a topic for everybody.